this is working now. So, hi everyone. My name is Joe. Today I'll be presenting how many kilometers I drove over the course of 11 days. This is for my Statistics 245 video presentation. So yeah, here we go. So this is the data I collected. The way I collected this data was every morning I would reset my odometer, and then every night I would take a picture of how many kilometers I drove that day. So I started on Saturday, March the 16th, where I drove 97 kilometers, and finished on Wednesday, March the 27th, where I drove 45 kilometers. So yeah, here are some interesting findings. The mean or the average kilometers I drove per day was around 83.5. The median was 44.5. There was no mode because there was no day when I drove the same number of kilometers. The range was around 420. The mid range was 232, and the standard deviation was around 121. Um, so I think the reason the range is so high and the standard deviation is also so high is because of the outlier, which you'll see here in a sec. So yeah, here Q1, the minimum number of kilometers I drove was around 21.5, and the maximum number of kilometers I drove, which is the outlier I was just talking about, was 441.5. Um, and you can see it here on the bar graph. But the reason why that's so high is because I went to see my family on that day, and they don't live in town. So I go visit them about once every 2 weeks or so. And even when I take it out, my graph still doesn't have a normal distribution. But I believe if I collected this data over the course of a month, it would have a more normal distribution. Uh, so here are my carbon footprint according to myclimate.org, and this is over the course of a year. If I keep the same average with visiting my family every other week, in the next year I'll produce about 21.1 tons of CO2, which is a lot because we need everyone to produce a maximum of zero point 0.6 tons of CO2 in order to mitigate climate change. And at the moment, the average person produces about 7.1 tons of CO2. And even if I don't visit my family at all, I'll still produce 9.9 tons of CO2, which is still a lot considering that's only from driving. That doesn't include anything else. Um, so if you're an environmentalist, you probably hate me right now. But yeah, that's the data. So how much money do I spend on gas? Well, I spend about $14 a day without biweekly family visits, and $24 a day with biweekly family visits. So the way I got those numbers was I looked up the average price of gas in Calgary, the fuel efficiency of my truck, and about so those numbers came out to be around 5,000 per year if I don't visit my family, and about 8,800 per year if I do visit my family. So, in conclusion, if I do keep visiting my family, I'll go bankrupt and destroy the environment in the process. But like Plato said, family is temporary and driving is forever. So I don't think I can say that. That's probably libelous. But on a more serious note, I learned that collecting data is way harder than analyzing it. For example, it took me 11 days to collect this data and only a few hours to make those calculations and make this video. And also, I learned the importance of integrity because I could have forged all of this data and there would be no way of you knowing that, which I guess is inconsequential in this case. But if I was working for a company and we're testing the integrity of seatbelts, for example, and we forge the data, then we're in deep waters. So yeah, some possible sources of error could include measurement error or data entry and processing error. So the measurement error is uh, for mine, I chose the odometer in my truck could have been off or broken or just not counting properly, and I wouldn't know that. In fact, I know for a fact that this is probably a source of error because the two front tires on my truck have the same radius and thickness, but the two back tires have a different radius and thickness. So, and the way the odometer calculates how many kilometers you're driving is it counts how many rotations your tires are making. So I know for a fact that those numbers will be a little bit off. And another source of error could have been a data entry and processing error. So I could have entered the data wrong, which is a little bit less likely because I took pictures of it. But the processing, so my calculations could have been a bit off, which is definitely possible because, I'm only human, eh? So here are my sources. The carbon emissions, I got that from climate.org, and the fuel cost. I used the Omni calculator to calculate that, and the Expetiston, which is a rough name. That's where I got the average price of gas in Calgary. So, yeah, that's about it. Hope this is under 5 minutes. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you next time.